I know it's been a while. It's been a while. There were like two recording attempts for like similar, if not the same, topic. One I had to cut midway through, and other one I just wasn't satisfied with it. Anyways, welcome back to Esin the Magazines Guy, brought to you by my magazine collection. I'm Esin, and for this video we got 4 issues of #tarih, and I almost forgot, for reference, today's date is December 5, 2025. So these 4 issues of #tarih, they were all released in 2025. They're the only 4 issues of #tarih that were released in 2025. If you don't know, after releasing the April 2025 issue, the magazine went on hiatus, indefinite hiatus, and we don't know when they will return. I got issue number 124, April 2025, the last ever issue yet of #tarih when it came out. The other 3, 121, 122 and 123, so January, February and March 2025, I got them later, like a month ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, from like Nadir Kitab. I think number 121 was from Türkiye Kitabevi. 122 was from Ercan, and 123 is from Necropol Safli Kitap. 124, it's just from my local news. As I said before, I bought it when it came out. I said in my previous video, I'm like going to look through this. So what's special about them? They're from like the 2025 restructure revamp era of #tarih. The magazine, from its writers to how it's presented, and like how the publication design, if you call it that, of the magazine, it's all changed drastically. This is issue 121, January 2025. This is the first ever issue from like the 2025 restructure. So the cover topic seems to be loyalty or competence. It has like a lot of interesting stuff, such as an article about the one time Nazım Hikmetran, Turkish poet, very well known one at that, directed a feature-length film. Another one is Ali Sami Yen's automobile and car touring hobby. Ali Sami Yen, he's the founder of the Galatasaray Association Football Club, but also he loved cars, and he loved things like motorsports, and he ended up establishing like these sports in Turkey, and it talks about that. There is another thing about discussions about when the 20th century began in the Ottoman Empire. Well, I used to think that the 20th century started with the year 1900, but turns out no, it started in 1901, because the first century it started in year 1, not year 0. So 1901 is technically when the 20th century starts. So the 21st century didn't start in year 2000, but in 2001. But you know, since new millennium, it's cool. They have parties in year 2000 instead. Well, I still haven't really been able to accept that. I thought year 0 was a thing, but whatever. About like Atatürk visiting Konya, there's an article about, and the cover story, yep. And like in cover story, there's like the cover story in like magazines in general, I guess, at least in Turkish magazines, they don't have like one article as the cover story. There are like multiple articles as cover stories, and this is another one. Loyalty and competence in education and science. It's quite interesting. A lot more cool stuff. Something about Rosie derivative. Lot more cool stuff. Actresses in the Ottoman Empire and modern Turkey. Things about like Sumers, Sumers, and yeah, mesmerism, some stuff about Hagia Sophia, blah 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 blah. Very interesting stuff, I would say. And in the back there is a cartoon fitting the cover story about loyalty and competence. Yeah. Now, is this a good way to like introduce a magazine rebrand? Well, I mean, magazines be like, unless like it's something very special, they just like say that there's been a redesign, like the editorial note and shit, and then they just like, the usual articles. Unless you like pay attention to the editorial note, you just like, don't you notice they like introduce something new or something? Just say, oh, they change, and continue reading. Well, I mean, like in the editorial note and such, it says that yes, there has been a rebrand, and that the main changes, Cengiz Özkarabekir, the how does it translate to English? The publication manager, I think, the general publication manager. He talks about like the changes to this magazine. I should note that Özkarabekir, he's like new to the magazine at this point. Gürsel Göncü used to write in like the editorial note. In fact, I'm going to get like issue 120, like right before the rebrand. restructuring. Fun fact. I ordered this from like dergi kapında. Okay. Story time. You know, after like I ordered these 4 issues and like recorded videos. In like November 30, I placed orders for like the missing issues between 94 and 124. Every issue except 120 could be found on Nadir Kitap, and someone was also saying 120 on Nadir Kitap, but someone bought it before me. I am not checking dergi kapında. Like dergi kapında does have 121, 122, 123, 124, so I wasn't like expecting much. But turns out they sell like 2023, 2024 issues, and 120 was like one of them. And thankfully I ended up like getting 4 issues from dergi kapında, and like the rest from Nadir Kitap, specifically from somewhere named Betik Saf over in Mersin. I paid like 499 liras including shipping. Well, I hope like I think I contributed like something like 10% of the shop rent, and I hope it's going to be useful. Yeah. Anyways, enough yapping. The previous publication manager and the guy who would write in the editorial notes was Gürsel Gökçe. But there has been a whole restructuring, including like altered teams and such. And Cengiz Özkarabekir ended up becoming the publication manager. Anything interesting? Like 120. Maybe like 2024 issues. Maybe like they deserve another video. Maybe. Think. But like 120, I think I'm keeping it here for comparison. Okay, so 121, Cengiz Özkarabekir is now the publication manager, and he talks about how they will be writing about more like interesting topics that are like more attention grabbing, more interesting, and there will be a visual revamp and like a lot of photos and such, and there will be a lot of like history and current event synthesis, and they will have a YouTube channel and a newsletter. So these are really good goals, except most of these things were already present with the previous team. You see, hashtag tarih pretty much always had a newsletter, if I remember correctly. About the YouTube channel, it was active through like 2016, 2020, like Kafa Media Group era. Then it went inactive, so like the YouTube channel is not new either. It was done in the Kafa era. They just like revitalized it. That's an achievement, but the YouTube channel is not entirely new. About like writing about more interesting topics, that was pretty much done in like the magazine's lifespan. I would argue that in like the 2025 restructuring covers more obscure topics than like the previous issues. But whatever. Well, and like a current events history synthesis, also down throughout the magazine's lifespan. Maybe like the one thing would be like the visual aspects. I mean, like, look, a lot of images everywhere. I don't think like the previous hashtag tarih. I mean, they also had a lot of photos, but for some reason they pop more in like the 2025 issues. I don't exactly know why. Maybe it has to do something with its simpler publication design thing. I mean, look, it's super simple. It's super simple. I guess that's part of the visual rebrand. Yeah, it's part of the visual rebrand. And yeah, before I had an idea about what Cengiz Özkarabekir could have talked about and like presented as like new features of the new hashtag tarih, but I'd like to go through the like all of the issues first before talking about it. Okay. One thing, like they got that new cover artist in the revamp. A really good cover artist. I love it. Their name is Selçuk Ören. Really good. I love it so much. Previously, hashtag tarih, they would have either photos, and when they had illustrations, it would usually be, I think it was Make Perker. Let me check. Was it Make Perker? It doesn't say in the editorial note or anything. No, but I think it is indeed Make Perker. The reason why I'm so like unsure is that the certainly this surname is Perker. Look at that watermark right here. But the thing is, I know two people with the surname Perker that is like relevant in like Turkish magazine scene. One is Meke Perker, a Turkish American comic artist. I remember that he drew for like old time stuff, and he works as like an artist for many graphic novels, as I implied before. And Emir Hamperker, I think he also draws for old, not very sure. Yeah, I think this is Meke Perker. Emir Hamperker's style is usually more cartoony. Anyway, so 122 is about like the rebels, Jolani winning in the Syrian civil war. You see like, unfortunately, xenophobia is quite common in Turkey, and I hate it so much, especially in like opposition circles. Like, you can like never know. They like brand themselves as all progressive, but when they see a Syrian refugee, they get really hateful, and I hate that. Refugees are not your enemies. Refugees are not the reason you aren't getting healthcare and other public services. The reason is that the public services themselves are inefficient. Even after you deport them, they will most likely still be inefficient. Same thing with housing. It's not that they're like taking away all the houses. It's that billionaires are hoarding them. And not all of them are abusers or like commit sexual assault. Xenophobia in Turkey, I hate it. Then there's like xenophobic purple washing in Turkey, and I hate that on a separate level. Like when like there is like a news of sexual assault and like the perpetrator is Syrian, everybody like roars and there's outrage. But when the perpetrator is Turkish, they like when the perpetrator is Turkish, they become nuns. I like warn people whenever I like suspect xenophobia might be involved in like okay, let me tell you something, you know, Akdeniz Postası, like it's some like student news site for like Akdeniz University. I think it was the Manavgat KYK girls dormitory incident where some person not staying at the dorm like easily comes into the dorm. And Agnes Postası like specify that person that that intruder is like a foreigner, and I had to warn them like, look, this like are you sure that like you specify like is the fact that they're for a foreigner important? Are you trying to like benefit from xenophobic outrage? And like no, they seem to be well intentioned, and they responded well, thankfully. So yeah, no problem with them. But you know, in general, you know, I try to warn someone, you know, ask them whenever I suspect that xenophobia might be involved in how the news is reported. You should too. You should too. And if they like respond like an asshole, that's their fault. Okay. So, anyways, whenever like some opposition magazine, media of the thing, talks about something like Syria, I brace myself because you know, xenophobia. You know, a little tangent, if you let me. There is this Instagram page called Postmodern, and they're really the wolf in sheep's clothing. They're one of those, you know, just presenting themselves as progressive and such, while they're just trying to push nationalist, xenophobic agendas, you know. And like it's not that they're like real registers either. They're like sahne muhalifler, fake. They're fake. They're just there for the money. They definitely in for the money. Like they have a shit ton of sub pages. Oh, did I mention that they steal content? You know, they post other people's content without credit, and when people that actually made the content tell them, they just like block. Yeah, fucking assholes. Anyways, so you know, um, it was like much tamer than I expected. I didn't spot like um any like xenophobia and such. That made me happy. It's focused more on like the colonization of Syria and such. You know, the background of the Syrian civil war. And I'm like really glad they did. They like how they managed it. It's pretty good. So one thing in like 121, in like the editorial note, Cengiz Özkarabekir, he talks about Merkel's book and how Merkel says that she dealt with Erdogan and Davutoğlu back in like 2017 or something, and like in exchange for like 3 billion euros, the Syrian refugees will stay in Turkey, and they will be given like work permits and like such. I think with like the latter paragraph, it's confusing. I think he's being well intentioned here, not xenophobic, but rather like criticizing how Western countries approach immigration and refuge. Especially like the Syrian civil war, like ending like Jolani's forces and such, and the country has become like more chaotic, and the West is still ignoring that. So I guess it's being well intentioned, kind of refreshing, I'm glad. Oh, one more thing. Treat refugees well, and you'll get like a favor back, certainly. They're your fellow human, and they're literally being exploited by the government, and like overall being used, and help them, and it's a way to like fight the regime. Being xenophobic is not the way. You need to help the refugees, at least like let them join your groups and such, let them express what they're going through. And also the Erdogans, they love weaponizing opposition's xenophobia for their agenda. So if you stop being xenophobic, they're going to have a hard time villainizing the opposition movement. So these are like more reasons. Anyways, aside from like the Syrian civil war, cover story, there's an article about DISC, union. What do you call it that? Union. Not union. Like union, trade union association or something like that. Like DISC, there's DISC, and there are like trade unions that are like connected to DISC. It's 58th anniversary. 58th anniversary special thingy. Basically, it's DISC is now 58 years old, and so this guy, what's his name? Feza Kürkçoğlu. He wrote an article about DISC to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Very cool. And one thing, Tayfun Uzbay, while he writes about great things, his article used AI images, but the rest of the magazine there's no AI images. So I'm going to like assume that he is the one that provided the images, and I would like to tell him, don't use AI. It's bad for like the environment and for artists. You can always ask another artist to draw for you. You can always search online for some nice stock images, or I'm pretty sure #tarih has artists in house. You could ask them to find photos or like draw. Just ask. what else? There's about like an article about Sultan's filmmaker, something like that. Sci-fi. No, there's like Turkish mythology too. Hippodromes and another thing I'd like to compliment about this issue is that we like the cover story. They don't like worship Jolani and his army, but they don't whitewash Assad either. I got to like compliment that. Well done. This reminds me of like the Jolani regime is like killing Alevi people in Syria, and I think they're still killing there. And in February 2025, so around the time this issue was released, maybe, so it was like around the end of the month. I think. Don't worry, I'm not sick or anything. I think it's just the dust. Well, I went to protest against the systematic murder of Alevi people in Syria. It was in Atalı Square. I was like very scared at first because though I never went that far myself before, but I'm very glad I went there, and in fact in return trip I stopped by Güneş Fırın and bought tulumba. Yeah. Oh, and I rode the nostalgia tram for the first time, line take. Yeah, it was very fun. And I got to meet cool people after the protest ended. Oh, I forgot. There is an article about Göbekli Tepe in the beginning. Göbekli. No, Göbekli Tepe is cool. I wish to go there someday. Okay, so moving on to issue 123. This one is about local governments and democracy. Yeah. The cover story, it's mostly about, I think it's mostly about like trustees being appointed to local governments for like so that the main the federal, like I think it's called federal government remains control over the entire country. Such practices are still going on today. And there's another article about like how the foundation of democracy is actually local governments. quite interesting. Yeah, it's good. Aside that, there's an article about the 1870 the Great Bayou Fire, and also there's something about like Battle of the Dardanelles, Gallipoli. Um, there's an article about that one. That thing. What else? More film history. Lovely. Something about Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta. Yep. There's something about Sultan. Life of Sultan Abdulaziz. Yep. Ooh, Shakir Pasha family. I think this was written around the time the TV show Shakir Pasha ailesi was airing and was popular. Many people say it's like a cursed show because there has been so much trouble with its production and such. I think like censorship was involved too, but I don't really remember. There's also an article about the first years of chocolate in Istanbul. Yep. Anyways, quite a good issue, I would say. Oh, there's also an article about. Let me show you about like history of Turkey participating in Eurovision. So like in the modern name, I will say that. Boycott Eurovision since they still allow Israel to participate, but at the same time, Turkey pulled out of the contest for like a shit reason. Yeah, I really love to see Israel being kicked out of Eurovision and then we join back. That will be fucking awesome. Anyways, that was 120. You guys wanna like hear how there's something interesting about like buying this tissue. Okay, so as I said before, I bought this tissue from Necroposta ve Kitap on like Nadir Kitap. I placed my order. I had bought this. I bought number 4 of hashtag tarih, which I said I was going to order like the previous video. And I guess that's it. Yeah, that's the 2 things, number 4 and number 123. The next day I placed the order. They called me, but I like didn't respond because it was an unrecognized number. Then they wrote to me on Nadir Kitap saying that they could not find issue number 4. They probably sold it before. So same thing as what happened to Bilim ve Teknik issue number 366 in Nos Kitabevi. So like they were like that issue was like 95 liras they were selling it for. They were like, instead of canceling the order because that will be very hard to do, it's a long process, you can like pick other stuff to add up to 95 liras, which is the price of the magazine. So I picked hashtag tarih issue number 119 because it was one of the issues missing from my collection, and I got Kafa number 94 because its price was was suitable. I got those two, and they had this, they sent it to me. Number 123 was more important. Number 4 is more commonly found on Nadir'da. And 123, so it's really rare. They were the only ones selling it on Nadir'da. I started dergi kapında. They sent this 119 Kafa number 94, and they sent issue number 87 of Odd as a gift. Thank you. By the way, they're in Antalya. So theoretically I could go there in person. In fact, they suggested if I really want to get issue number 4, they actually might still have it, but they probably didn't see it because the sahaflar, depot place thingies, storage rooms are usually really messy, and it might take days to find a certain thing. So they were, if you come by, you can look for issue number 4. I will, thing is, they're far away in Sharampol. I mean, not far away for me, but far enough for my mom to not let me go there by myself. So yeah, maybe if I would stop by Sharampol, I might go inside. And same for you, if you ever go to Sharampol, maybe pay them a visit. Quite cool they are. Yep. Okay, so final thing, number 124. This one is about justice and economics. This was the last ever issue published before the magazine went on hiatus. And also, fun fact, this is an April 2025 issue, but it was released earlier in late March. And after that, they just went on hiatus. The articles, they're mostly about economics. They are mostly about economics and welfare, inequality, and such. The relationship between the state and the ultra rich. And local and national economies and such. And Turkish Economic Congress. I think that's not a cover story, but maybe it is the cover story. I'm not really sure. It probably is part of the cover story. Other interesting stuff is an article about Leyla Gencer, who is an opera artist, and the author Elif Soysal, she describes her as a Turkish diva. I don't know, the word diva is quite funny, that's why I like found it funny. Otherwise, it's cool. Yeah, it's quite cool. Other stuff is, there's an article about the Great Depression and how John Steinbeck writes about it. And an article about Trump's Gaza plan. And an article about the history and geography of racism. Yeah. Oh, okay, never mind. The things I thought were like the part of the cover story is not exactly the cover story, but they're still pretty interesting articles. But you know what, the cover story? Oh wait, this one is the cover story. This one is the cover story. The other ones were not. This one is about like the economy and like the association, the relationship between the state and the ultra rich and welfare inequality, and also inflation. And this one is about how the economy changed from 1870 to 2025. Okay. Yeah. So we went through all of the 4 issues. Now, here are some actual differences from modern tarih to like the previous eras. Number 1 is that they're taking things more seriously now. The articles are written in a more serious tone compared to before, and they have a references list, which is like really important. Like probably the most significant difference will be the references list. There's obviously like the aesthetics of it, it's more like simplistic, so the images pop out more. What else, there are like new authors, there's complete change in like the authors that write for the magazine. There is that. There is also that, in my opinion, the magazine writes about more obscure topics, I think. Yeah. So what Cengiz Karabekir could have said to promote the new version of #tarih is that they're going to write about like things people do not know but would actually love to know about, and they're going to take history more seriously, and yeah, I think it will be great. That would have made more sense to say. There is like one more thing. Yüksel Göncü like posted on Twitter alleging that this whole revamp was like happened all of the sudden, and Göncü and like authors of #tarih through like in his like era, his team, they were completely uninformed like until like recently, like maybe 2 months before or something like that, and that's like they cannot like post their articles on #tarih anywhere else, I think, or something, like that. They lost ownership, if I remember correctly. You know, while I love this version of hashtag tarih, I think you know, Göncu and authors of his terminal magazine, I don't think you should like penalize them like that. They don't deserve it. No. I think like Öz Karabekir and his team like should like reconcile with Göncu and his team and like give them reparations, like have them like allow them give back their loyalties, or like maybe like monetary compensation, or maybe even like, you know, when the magazine goes back from hiatus, both of the authors from like both eras just like write together. They could write together. Like Barış Uygur no longer writes in like 2025 hashtag tarih, and like I miss him. Maybe he could write in the magazine, but also this Mehmet Çağçağ, the comic artist for the new hashtag tarih, you know, he could still draw his stuff, and you know, they could hang out together. And yeah, I think that would be like the best future for the magazine. Öz Karabekir making amends with like Göncu, and like the two things like merging and like doing stuff together. That would be so fucking awesome. And yeah, that's all. That's all. Also, let me show you here's evidence that the hashtag tarih newsletter existed before. Maybe like I don't think so. They used to have like an e-magazine subscription, but like the 2025 hashtag tarih had an e-magazine subscription. They advertise it. They advertise it in like where they advertise it. Not here. Not here. Not here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, a magazine subscription. After the hiatus, the hashtag tarih website has been taken down like completely. You cannot access any part of the website now. So I'm glad that I have these issues in print, and maybe that's why these issues aren't in like circulation much. That's why they're rare in print, because everyone got the magazine subscription. Probably that's why. Yeah, I love magazines. I absolutely love magazines, and it's important to like have them in print because, you know, media preservation. You know, hashtag tarih went through an online catastrophe. They took their website completely down, and you can no longer access the online versions, the electronic versions of these magazines. But I have them in print, so I can like, you know, just come visit my room. You know, come to my room and like, pick up whatever I want. As long as I have that physically. Yeah. That's all I have to say, I think. Thanks to all the people that make and like overall contributed to the making and like making of the magazine and the preservation of the magazine and like the selling stuff. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for watching and listening to me. Yeah. Anyways, I think it has been 1 hour and 15 minutes. So the record has been broken with like 1 hour and 15 minutes of recording. Shortest ever Esin the Magazines Guy raw footage. Let me just put this on chat. Okay. About the gifts and like extra magazines bag, don't worry, the bag is like still present. It's just like not taped to like the shelf. It was separated from the shelf, so I took it off, and it's all thing now. It's close to the shelf, but not taped to the shelf. If you get what I mean. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. And see you all in the next video. It's probably going to be November 2025 magazines. Yeah. See ya.